Carl Jung's Red Book says you're not depressed, you're awakening. You think you're broken. You call it depression. You say you're lost, numb, disconnected, like your soul stepped out and never came back. But what if this isn't the end? What if this is the beginning? Carl Jung didn't call it depression. He called it a descent, a necessary fall into the depths of who you really are. Because before you awaken, you must first shatter. Jung wrote the Red Book not in triumph, but in torment. He watched his old identity dissolve, felt madness brushing his mind, but he didn't run. He listened. He followed the shadows inside him, not to destroy himself, but to meet what he had ignored. He believed the darkness wasn't a curse. It was a call, a whisper from the unconscious that said, "Come closer. There's something you must see. See when your soul awakens. Your world falls apart, not to punish you, but to show you what was never real. The roles you played, the masks you wore, the dreams you borrowed from others, they all begin to crumble. And that collapse, it feels like depression. But Jung would tell you, it's initiation, the death of the false self, so the real one can rise. Most people numb this process. They run to distractions, noise, screens, substances, people, anything to avoid sitting with the silence that's trying to speak. But the soul doesn't heal through avoidance. It heals through presence, through descent. Jung entered the underworld of his mind and found gold buried beneath the madness. That's the paradox. The deeper you go into the dark, the more light you bring back. You don't need fixing. You need remembering. Remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Before you learned to smile through pain, to chase approval, to bury your truth just to feel safe. This depression you feel, it's not weakness. It's the soul rejecting the lie, refusing to pretend any longer, refusing to stay asleep in a life that no longer fits. Awakening isn't beautiful at first. It's disorienting. You start questioning everything, your beliefs, your relationships, your purpose. And that chaos, it's sacred. Jung called it the confrontation with the self, the part of you buried under years of survival. It speaks in symbols, in dreams, in silence that screams. And if you're brave enough to face it, you don't just survive. You transform. Most never make it this far. They run back to comfort, back to roles that feel safe, even if they're suffocating. But you stayed in the fire. You let the illusions burn. And in that burn, you discovered something rare, your own authority. Not borrowed from society, not shaped by fear, but forged in the silence where your real voice finally spoke. You start to feel again, but not like before. It's deeper now. Colors seem richer. Words hit harder. Even your pain feels more honest. Because now you're not running from it. You're listening. And that voice within you, the one you silenced for years, it's guiding you. Not back to who you were, but forward to who you were always meant to be. You'll lose people on this path, not because you hate them, but because you've outgrown the version of you that needed their approval. Your silence will confuse them. Your calm will threaten them. But that's okay. Jung taught that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires separation. Not isolation, but liberation. From roles, from masks, from anything that asks you to shrink. There comes a moment, quiet, sudden, when the heaviness lifts. Not all at once, but enough for you to breathe again. Not because Life got easier, but because you stopped betraying yourself. You no longer chase peace. You create it. You no longer beg to be understood. You understand yourself. And in that self-knowing, there's a freedom deeper than happiness. There's truth. Now you walk differently, not louder, but steadier. You no longer need to prove, perform, or pretend, because the war inside you is ending, not with fanfare, but with silence. A silence that says, I know who I am. And that knowing, that's your power. Not because you have it all figured out, but because you finally trust the one who's walking the path. You. So no, you're not broken. You're not lost. You're not weak. You're awakening. Shedding everything that isn't truly you. And yes, it hurts. Transformation always does. But when the dust settles, when the old skin falls away, you'll see it. The version of you that was waiting beneath the noise, beneath the numbness. And you'll realize this was never depression. It was your soul rising.